robot is up all night till the sun, up all night to get some, up all night for good fun, up all night to get lucky, but he must go to space for love.
Welcome to the Walt Vault with
Michelle,
Andre,
Louise.
and me, Emily. We're a family-friendly podcast where we pick a new Disney movie each week. We watch it, share our thoughts, and then relate it to pop culture, fandoms, and anything else that pops into our heads. Enjoy!
hello and welcome to the Walt Vault, episode 60.
We're almost ready for retirement.
Happy New Year!
That's not the New Year's
It's like
song.
the 4th of July
Yeah, it
song.
sounds like the 4th of July.
Guys,
song.
don't judge me. This is our
Also, New Year, new bios.
yes, New
Thanks,
Year. I
Luis.
hope you enjoyed new bio from Luis. Luis is here on the episode this time. Look at him go.
He's only here because he loves me and I love this movie.
Is that your reason, Lou?
Yeah.
Yes.
He had to make.
Perfect.
He wanted to fight on my birthday.
This week, we are talking about the 2008 Pixar 3D animated film, Wall-E.
Do I have to say it like that every time I say it?
Wow.
I didn't practice.
Wale.
Hi, Wale.
Wall-E. Yes, we're talking about Wall-E. I completely forgot what I was going to say.
Were you gonna say what Wale stands for?
No, I was not, because I don't know it off the top of my head.
The E stands for Earth.
The E stands for Earth.
Thank you.
That is true.
You're welcome.
I don't remember what the rest of it stands for at all.
Let's see.
Welcoming a lazy Louise.
World.
Oh yeah,
on
keep
Earth.
guessing until I can figure it out.
World. Agriculture.
There's two L's.
No, it's something about like waste,
Waste and loving.
logistics.
Life.
Don't you use that word in this house. You shut your mouth.
Wow. Eve is like excavation, vegetation,
Extraterrestrial.
vegetation explorer.
Wall-E stands for Waste Allocation Load Lifter, Earth Class.
See, Earth class. I knew E was
You're
Earth.
welcome. It was waste.
Waste allocation load lifter. Earth
Lou
class.
lifter.
Who came up with that? What's this movie
By and-
called, Mom?
by and large.
Wall-E. What the heck is that?
Wow.
Well, apparently Wall-E is supposed to be an homage to our Walter Elias Disney. So there you
That
So-
makes sense.
go. Wall-E Disney.
Put on your
Walt-
Sunday clothes
Walty.
when you are feeling down. Do-do-do-do.
How many times are we going to hear that?
A lot.
We did hear it a lot in the movie.
That's very true.
Ay, caramba.
This movie was directed by Andrew Stanton. It was directed, or not directed. It was nominated for, I believe, 6 Oscars.
One of the highest of
And
Pixar.
Yes.
I
And
believe it. It
and
was
it won one.
different.
What did it win, Andre?
It won Best Animated Feature Film of the Year, but it was nominated for Best Writing for Original Screenplay, Best Achievement in Music, Best Achievement in Music Original Song, Best Achievement in Sound Mixing, and Best Achievement in Sound Editing. And that is because Ben Burt worked on this movie. Ben Burt
Okay.
worked on all the Star Wars movies. Ben Burt is the voice of Wall-E.
Saying Ben Burt.
And Ben Burt also created the sound for lightsabers. The dude is my hero.
Well, I like him because he's Wally.
Oh, get out of here. He's practiced this.
You know how many times a day Andre does this? This is my husband. I'm used to it. He does that quite
I did.
frequently.
I did. Wow, wow.
Wah, 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 wah. No, he's like.
How long did it take you to perfect that?
I don't know, my entire life, I guess. I don't know. How long ago did I see Star Wars?
Luis's face.
No, he's upset because Luis pulled out 2 cookies from the thing. He eats one. Michelle takes the other one.
Yeah, I worked really hard to get that out of that package. And you come and you
Do you want this cookie or,
Nah, I don't want
or
it
shiny
anymore.
shanks?
No. Oh, give me old shanks.
I'm glad we're so on track on this episode of the Wall Vault. let's do
It's been
some.
a while since we've all been
It's
here.
been a while. We switched over to like the 2 times a month recording, and the last time we recorded was when, like
a
3 or
month
4
ago,
like
almost.
a month ago. Yeah,
Yeah, we recorded 2 episodes in a weekend because Andre and I had the honeymoon.
yeah. We went to the Caribbean. Check
Nobody
out
wants to hear about
our
it. We
individual
freaking know.
Instagrams.
We don't want to hear it because we
Look
jealous.
at all the
okay.
pictures of us shining in the sun.
Well, we're over
Speaking
here
of
just
sun,
freezing.
Wally charges from the sun.
He's
Let's get
solar
back on track.
powered.
Solared.
First impression.
That's why he's up all night to the sun. Duh.
Up all night to get Evie. Eva.
Ben Burtt.
Anywho.
I'm back.
Michelle,
Michelle, this is your favorite movie?
first impressions.
My first impression.
Upon this viewing or upon life?
Well,
Did you see it in theaters?
I did. I believe I was a freshman in the high school when this came out.
What year did this come out?
2008.
Okay, I was
Were
a
you a freshman?
sophomore.
Yeah, you must
I
be
hope
a little
not.
bit older. Goodness.
What year were you born, girl?
You're dating us, Michelle.
I graduated in 2011, so
God, you
Oof,
baby.
man.
yeah. Anyways, I loved it, and I
Wish you guys could see her face. That was very aggressive.
loved it. No, like I said, Little Mermaid is my favorite animated Disney. Wall-E is my favorite Pixar because it doesn't need a lot of dialogue to make a lasting impact.
You know what's really funny? There's no water in this movie.
There is very little
But
water.
listen, Wall-E collects things just like Ariel. They're the same person.
We discovered this.
They
We
are
discovered
pretty
this
similar.
upon this
Wall-E
viewing.
and
Look at this
Ariel.
stuff.
Isn't it neat?
Yeah,
And he
pretty
wants
similar.
love just like Ariel
Yeah.
with a robot that's
I
way out
wanna
of his
be
league.
Where the robots are.
And instead of going to land, he goes to space.
He's like, but cockroach, I love him.
yeah, cockroach is
Yeah,
Sebastian.
instead of flounder, he has a cockroach. It's the same movie. This is why I like him.
It's totally the same movie.
Yes.
That makes it really, really.
Yeah,
wow.
Andre and I discovered this upon this viewing, and I was like, it makes sense.
Girl,
now.
you just connected all the dots in my head.
right?
Andre, what was your first impression?
It's so funny though, huh?
My first impression, I don't remember when I first watched this movie.
How many times have you seen it?
Probably like 3 or 4 times in total.
It's probably been like 7 for me. I've seen
Maybe
that a lot.
5. I don't know. I don't know that I saw it in theaters, but I definitely saw it before we started doing any of this. Back in the day.
This thing.
Before we started doing this. And I liked it a lot. I didn't know about Ben Burtt back then. I mean, I knew of him, but I didn't know of his relation to this movie.
You've said Ben Burtt more times than you've seen this movie.
Ben Burtt.
Not more than he's seen Ben Burtt's movies.
But I really liked it because I enjoy space and I enjoy robots and I enjoy trash. You know, I like it all. So I like the movie. But
Andre also wants to be one of those fat people.
oh, dude, yes, that's the main takeaway.
Let's not even.
Is that
No.
I would love to be on that cruise ship for 700 years, just wasting away in that
Andre
chair.
was like, "This is the kind of
floating.
cruise that we were supposed to go on."
I was thinking, like, okay, so they got on the cruise. It's supposed to be like a 5-year trip, right?
Hold on. No,
Oh,
we're not in
okay,
the first
we
impression.
won't get there yet.
because no.
First impression, good stuff.
Listen, Louis' first impression
back up.
of said Wall-E.
I liked it a lot. It was. It was hard for me to get to liking it a lot, but it was a good movie. And I have my reasons why.
He has his reasons. Don't question him. Emily.
I was waiting for someone to ask him my
Sorry, my
first
What
mic
were
was turned
your
off.
first
Emily, first
impressions?
impression.
I think this is the second time that I've seen it because I remember certain things from the first time I watched it. I remember not liking it the first time I watched it. But the
It's
second
different.
time I was like, I don't remember that at all. Like,
Right.
I wonder if I had like watched it at home and just like didn't pay attention to half of it because like the storyline was lost on me once they got to space.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
I remember the trailer a lot.
I don't.
I don't either.
It's all like in the very first part of the movie. You don't see space or the
No, none of that.
fat people. Or
Because
the
I do remember watching it in the theater and being like, "What the heck is going on?"
It's
Because
trippy
it's
with
really
the first
weird.
time.
The first time I watched it, I did like a double take. I loved it, but I was still like, "What
Sure.
in the world just happened?" And it's a pretty original story,
Right.
Like it really apparently not. Apparently it's Little Mermaid, but
Well, I will say first impression upon this viewing was I liked it. I also have my reservations, but it's more like a societal problem than it is like a movie
The
problem.
movie,
The movie's
yeah.
fine. It's more like giving me heebie-jeebies. And
Emily doesn't like apocalyptic stuff.
I don't. I also don't like.
Cockroaches?
Well,
Gluttony. Stuff.
yeah.
Oh, and their bones are smaller.
Get out of here. That's so bad. All right, moving along.
And it's more, if you're familiar with the 7 deadly sins, it's more that type of gluttony sin.
Oh, it's like it's overkill
Yeah.
of everything.
of all
By
of it.
and large.
It's
Yeah.
commercialism. It's
Andre
materialism.
said that's-
It doesn't matter what it is.
Andre
It's
said that's
overkill of
what's
everything.
going to happen when Walmart takes over the world.
No, it's 100%.
Exactly.
That's why I
So-
have a societal problem with this movie.
Yeah.
Right.
But go ahead.
But I like that kind of stuff. I'm weird. Like I actually like that kind of stuff. It's
It's
interesting.
actually very interesting.
Yes.
So
creepy in a
the
children's
way that
movie.
this movie starts is absolutely beautiful. I don't know if you guys remember how it starts, but it goes ding out there.
Uh-oh.
Ding out there.
But also, this is where we really get the really good animation of all these very, very large trash piles that are taller than buildings, taller than skyscrapers.
Yes.
And the 3D animation, like of all of that stuff on Earth, is very, very, very good.
So
I
this,
like it.
This movie was conceived during that initial like big old Pixar meeting after Toy Story, where they thought up like Finding Nemo and
Yes.
Up and all the big ones, and they didn't have like a real concrete idea for it. They were going to be calling it Trash Planet, at
Which I
first,
freaking
which I
love.
love. Trash
Trash
Planet is a
Planet.
great name.
No, it just sounds no.
Oh no, it's an
Wall-E.
awful name, but Trash
Oh,
Planet's
it's
hilarious.
hilarious. Yeah.
I'm not saying it's a good name. It's
But,
just freaking
Trash
funny.
Planet.
It was shelved for a while.
Because Treasure Planet went over so well. When
Yeah.
Exactly,
Trash
right?
Planet.
Until Finding Nemo, when they did all of the underwater animation, they realized that they could do some good space stuff. So they revamped the story and had it take place in space as well as on Trash Planet. So the movie begins set in I believe it's supposed to be like the 22nd century when
Yes.
everyone takes off. And
Yeah.
then
Yes.
we find Wally hanging
He's like
out,
the only robot
putting in
still
work,
alive.
going to work every day.
And then this was an issue. This is the only issue I had with the movie. And I kind of talked my way through a solution, but I didn't understand why Wally was the only Wally left. And I was like, why is he the only Wally left? But then when that dust storm came, I was like, oh, okay. So that dust storm killed them all. So Wally's just way more intelligent than those other ones is what I'm assuming.
Yeah. I think Wally was probably put in a position where when that first dust storm came, he could find shelter and a bunch of the other Wallies could not. And then he just kept repeating that until all the other Wallies were...
Wally created his
Destroyed.
own directive at that point, but it's funny because he still did the trash thing every day.
Yes, that's the cool
Even though
thing.
he like had a life
Yeah.
out of it. He really did. He was friends with the cockroach. He liked collecting things. He had this whole imaginative world. He liked to watch Hello Dolly every day.
Yes.
And
Lots of Hello Dolly.
yeah.
That's the really cool thing about Wally and all of the robots in this movie is that over time they have these AIs that they do what they're programmed to do, but then it's also able to adapt and expand and learn.
Yeah.
And that's why Wally has a personality, because he's been stranded on this planet for 700 years, and over time he has learned to want to collect things and learn to make friends with cockroaches and
Which
do
is
his job
funny.
He
well.
has social skills.
Yes.
I will
Eve does not at first.
I will tell you though that when I'll have you know, when we
Oh.
started watching,
I'll have you know.
when we started watching this movie, because Luis and I did not remember. I mean, we know the general idea of the story, but we didn't know like how long the humans had been gone. We were guesstimating up until you figured it out.
Right.
So we were going back and forth, and Luis was like, "Well," And well, we were looking at the planet. Well, it's rough.
Yeah.
And because of how many, skyscraper trash things are, it's been at least a couple years because we didn't know exactly how fast he worked, right? And then so Luis was like, okay, well, they were supposed to only be up in space for 5 years. Man, they worked really fast. And then we get up there and they say 700 years.
Yeah, dude.
And then you realize just what that impact means on Earth and in
space.
Spaces. But it was
Space.
interesting because we didn't know that.
Right.
Which, I mean, obviously, the first time you watch this movie, you don't know how long it's been. But we didn't know that just from this viewing either.
Which call back to it, when they explain later on in the movie that the by and large owner was basically like, well, the world's ending, everybody abort, go to wherever, stay at the station, this is done. So does that mean that Wally has been there by himself for 700 years?
Yeah.
Yes.
I think
That's
so.
insane.
I bet for the first
Poor Wally.
10, 20, 30, 40, 50 years that a bunch of the Wallies were working and stuff like that. And then as the planet deteriorated.
I don't think 10, 20, 30, 40, 50 years really. Because that trip was only supposed to be 5 years, and it looks like the world basically went kaput.
Right, and the president, he did relay that other message that it was all kaput and don't even bother coming back. And
Well,
stuff
what
like
was
that.
really interesting too was that I don't know if you caught this, but when right at the beginning of the movie, before they even show the planet, they're looking from space, they're looking down on the Earth, and they're focusing in on North America. And North America is different. There's no Alaska. There's no Hawaii. The Great Lakes are much bigger than they should be.
Oh.
So it was almost like the ice caps had melted, water rose. Obviously, the ozone layer was disgusting and
It
everything.
was disgusting and covered in thousands of
It's all
satellites.
brown.
Oh, it was crazy.
Ugh.
But it's interesting because that shows you too over time. Because if you think about how long it takes for even an
Continents to
inch
shift and
for
stuff like that.
continents to shift and even an inch of water to rise
Right.
in the ocean, that kind of gives you a little bit of perspective
it's
as
been
well.
Like
Right.
1,000 years from now.
Right.
You know what I mean? And then, what was it, 2175 or
Mhm.
something?
Yeah.
So, therefore, here's two things that I find so funny that make me giggle about this movie that I love is that his best friend is a cockroach because cockroaches live through everything.
Yes, they
He
cockroaches
get
can survive
smashed
the
also.
apocalypse.
He
So many-
literally runs over him so many times. It's so sad.
He's
But it's
good.
funny.
Eve shoots him. Poor little cockroach. But that's
Okay.
that's true to life. After the dinosaurs, cockroaches were one of the only things left after that. It's so funny. And then also, I find it interesting that this world, quote unquote, probably ended in the year 21 something,
Mm-hmm.
But the DVD that he finds in the trash, or not even DVD, probably VHS, well, it is VHS, is Hello Dolly, which is, 2,000 years old at that point? No, maybe not. Maybe not that old.
Maybe not quite that
But,
old, but
pretty
it's
old.
pretty stinking
Pretty old,
old.
yeah.
So
Yeah.
I just think it's so funny.
he finds an iPod, he finds some tapes.
Yeah.
He finds a bunch. He finds
It's
a bunch
just
of stuff.
that song is such a great juxtaposition to the rest of the visuals in this movie. I
Right.
don't know. I like it. Toots my horn.
Well, since we're talking about the music, we might as well we might as well get into it. So the score for this movie, I think, is pretty brilliant.
So good.
Very beautiful. Pretty much my favorite scene is when musically is when Wally is following Eve around when she's discovering the planet.
Yes.
And that music is beautiful. It kind of reminds me of Finding Nemo. It kind of has that whimsical, we're traveling through time and space type of a thing. I really enjoy it. But I will say that I felt by the last couple times they were using the two Hello Dolly songs, I was over
You were
it.
done?
I was like, okay, we either needed to add a third song from the movie,
Right.
or we needed to play them one last time because I get it. I mean, I got the idea.
Yes.
But they played them
Love is nice.
one or two too many times for
It
me.
didn't bug me because if I think about it in my head, that's all Wally listens to. So
Right.
He's obsessed with it, so it
True.
makes sense to me.
No, it totally makes sense, but I'm just saying as a viewer,
Oh, it was annoying,
like it
yeah.
could have been like 1 or 2 less times.
That
okay
must have
with
been
it.
the only iPod he could find with any working stuff on
It was
it.
not
you
an
know?
iPod. It was literally like a VHS.
No,
No.
he had an iPod
he
shuffle he
did?
was playing it on.
Mhm. It was like an iPod video, and it had the
Mhm.
movie Hello Dolly on it, and he zoomed in on it
Yeah.
using a big old pane of glass.
Then what was the thing that he put in his chest?
So that's like a tape deck.
Yeah, that was.
But he had the tape on it because Eve was like destroying it, and he was like, ah! And then he
So-
put it in and showed it to her, and it was Hello Dolly.
Wally's a Hello Dolly fan. Okay, he found a
I
tape.
think honestly, what I think he did was I think he found the tape and put it into something that converted it to play on the iPod
Yes.
Shuffle because he had
He's
like
smart.
multiple things going on.
Or even he found the iPod Shuffle. It had Hello Dolly on it. He watched it a million times and then decided to record it onto his own system
That he
from
could
from
play
the
it.
movie.
Wally's so techy.
He is.
Yeah,
Well, 'cause he
is
can
very
record.
techy, yeah.
Yeah, that's true.
But yeah, the music. You're right. I like the music a lot. It's done by Thomas Newman. He did the music for Finding Nemo. He also
Oh,
did
well, there you go.
He also did the music
Does
for
sound like Finding
Lemony
Nemo.
Snicket's A Series of Unfortunate Events. And in the scene where
The movie?
yes, the movie.
Okay, yeah.
And in the scene where Wally is like flying around in space with the fire extinguisher
Yes.
I love it.
after Eve, that sounds a lot like
Yes.
that particular movie.
That's like my favorite song.
I like
That one's very whimsical,
Mhm.
and I think it also gets stuck in my head because it's in World of Color. So I know, like, as soon as that little jingle starts, I'm like, "Ooh, Wally's coming."
Wally.
Wally.
Okay, so storyline.
Yeah, we kinda went
I
all
mean,
over
it
the place.
Yeah.
It takes like a nice 30-something minutes for you to get dialogue.
Yeah.
But it's not
I mean, there's the singing, but it's
right.
not.
But as I remember as a kid being, or I guess I wasn't a kid. I remember being as an 18-year-old, 17, 18-year-old. I remember being bored by that. But this viewing, it was more. The most interesting part to me was when they were on Earth versus
Yeah.
being in space.
Right.
Yeah. Oh, I totally agree. I love the first half. I mean, I love the entire movie, but the first half is better to me. And
I think it was more
Just-
imaginative.
every scene, like from the moment he meets Wally, from the moment he just looks at her,
Oh,
like
Eve?
I'm sorry, yes, till the moment he sees Eve, and to the moment that the rocket takes off to go to space is like the best part of the movie.
Yeah. I think it's incredibly strong visual storytelling to be able to go that long in a movie without saying anything. And it's with a main character that doesn't even have a traditional human face. Like he's a robot
His
with
eyes,
basically
they did
just
a good
eyes.
job with the eyes.
He
Is
literally
what's so
is.
expressive.
He's a binocular cube.
Binocular
like
dude.
seriously,
Yeah.
he's not. He doesn't have a mouth.
Right.
You know what? What's that Benson dude
Ben
name?
Burt.
Shout out to
I
Ben
said it
Burt
35
because
times.
Benson Burns.
shout out to Ben Burt then because some of the sounds that Wally make it so much better. Like when
Wow.
Eve destroys things and he's like,
His screams are
Yeah,
freaking
man.
so good.
Well,
But
especially-
that's what makes him seem so expressive even though he's not talking.
One when you watch it with subtitles, it's like it says shuddering, like he's, like,
He's shaking.
it's just so funny. But I think that's why this movie was nominated for all of those sound effect
Yeah.
type awards.
Yeah.
It's different,
Because
man.
It's
I love it though.
It's not traditional storytelling. It's very different. But I think it was visually stimulating and I enjoyed it, especially for something being so like brown.
Yeah.
You know,
Right,
like
yeah.
because the trash planet,
Trash planet.
is pretty trashy. Like it's
Oh,
not
yeah.
But
pretty.
that's what
It's
makes
overrun with trash.
when you see Eve so great.
Yeah.
Because
she is an
I
Apple
know
product.
what Eve looks like.
Because she's an Apple
Yes.
Macintosh computer.
Because I know what Eve looks like. Like I've seen this movie so many times, but every time she comes on the screen and then just starts moving and doing like stormtrooper type super cool
Yeah,
stuff,
dude.
I'm
She has
like,
the
oh
coolest
snap.
robot arm.
No wonder Wally's in love with her. Like,
Number one, she's a complete juxtaposition to anything he's ever seen.
Right.
she's bright. She's bright.
She's bright. She's
white.
colorful. She.
Even her eyes are digital.
Oh yeah, and she moves so differently
With
than he
such
does.
grace.
But then that like machine gun arm comes out like,
Yeah.
boom, like, and then it goes back.
Well, one of my
Oh
favorite
God.
things too is when he sees Eve and he's like, oh, he does that like sound like, oh, like, and Eve looks at the rocket as it takes off, and as soon as the rocket's gone, she like does this little spin and it's like,
oh, finally,
boom,
I'm
like
free.
Mach 1's out and starts
Yeah.
flying around. I'm like, whoa, she broke the sound barrier.
Yeah, she's very fast
really
and
cool.
very graceful
Yes.
and very powerful, and she's trigger happy. She is a
She does not
shoot
mind.
first, ask questions later kind of
You
gal.
know why? And I'm trying to think of her directive. Her programming is to find vegetation, right? But not to find living things. So she's like, plot, plot.
Yeah, you know.
But I feel like if there's living things, there's probably vegetation. Like she
Right.
could like calm down a little
yeah,
bit.
she could chill out because she shoots
Maybe
anything
people are
that
trying
moves.
to steal the robots or something. I don't know.
Oh.
Maybe, I
She
don't know.
definitely ready to like knock someone's block
Oh
off.
yeah.
Yeah, any sound. She's like, excuse you. Directive. I was trying to figure out what the first language she talks in, because she filters
Yeah.
through a couple.
Right.
There's like an Asian language in there, and then finally she says directive. But I was like, what language did she first say? Because that must be like her
I wonder if it was
Her robot language.
Chinese
robot language. I don't know, maybe.
or Indian or something like that. since
She's a
those are the
fancy
most
robot, you
densely
know.
populated.
That wasn't made in the USA. Unless it was made by and Large. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know.
I don't
Which
know.
I'm assuming by and large is a USA thing.
Well, by and large, it seems like owned
They
the
took over the
entire
world.
Earth. So
They were Lord Business.
Yeah.
If you've seen the Lego movie.
Lord business. Lord business.
exactly.
Well,
Luis,
what's funny about this is I read that one of the designers that helped design the iPod and the iPhone and a couple of the Mac computers, or the Apple computers, excuse me, helped design Eve.
That makes a lot of sense.
Which also, like, when she starts up, she makes like the original Apple Mac and what?
That's when Wally.
Oh.
That's when Wally
it
reaches
when
full
Wally does
solar
it?
charge.
Oh my God, the noise is so funny.
well, and then I told Andre how much did they have to pay for that sound, and he was like, they didn't, because Steve Jobs like created Pixar, and I was like, oh yeah.
Mm-hmm.
he
Well, it
owned
was
it.
cute because Luis is like, that's the Windows sound. I'm like, no,
Mm-hmm.
that is not the Windows sound.
Which one is the Windows
That's
sound?
the Mac sound. The Windows sound is like I don't even. know.
Doo-doo-doo.
No, that's the Nokia sound.
That was actually very nice, Luis.
That's
Yes,
the
that is the
Nokia brick
Nokia sound.
I don't know that I can make the Windows sound. I have a Windows computer, but it's Windows 10. I don't think the Windows sound has been made since like Windows XP or something like that. I don't know.
Well, I
Better
just
than the
remem-
internet startup.
Oh no, it's not. It's
Dial up.
It is funny though because my growing up we had my mom, she will tell you all about how she had the first Apple computer in the 80s or whatever. But we had multiple Mac computers growing up. So that sound is like part of my childhood. Dun.
Oh yeah, it's
right.
literally one of the funniest things that happens in this movie, and it happens like 3 times.
Yeah, it's
like when he's on the rocket flying to space, he gets it out because he's like right next to the sun. He's like, ooh, nice, toasty,
Man, this is a sound effects heavy
hilarious.
podcast and a sound effects heavy movie. I'm reading right now. So
We should be nominated for an award.
Ben Burt.
Remember.
Ben Burt. So he's a sound designer. He's not originally like an actor or anything like that. He's a sound designer. So he worked on all the Star Wars films. Apparently, right before this, he had finished work on Star Wars Episode 3: Revenge of the Sith. And he told his wife that he would never work on a movie with robots ever again. And then he was approached. He was approached for this, and he found it. He found its substitution of voices with sounds to be fresh and exciting. So he recorded 2,500 different sounds for this film, which is
Whoa,
twice the average number for a Star Wars movie.
because he was having fun with it.
Yes, so he started working on this in 2005, and then did voice work for like 2 years. So that's amazing to me.
That's a fun job.
That's wild. Yeah. Yeah.
Let me make. You know what? I'm really good at random sounds.
What voice did he do?
He
Wally.
did Wally.
Oh, he did Wally.
He did Mo. And he did a couple of the other robots.
Okay, cool.
Mm-hmm.
Mo.
Mo.
Directive.
Classified.
Classified. I love when Wally shoves the trash and he goes, ta-da. And she's just looking at him like, cool.
You stupid.
Yeah, so their relationship is it's just so funny at first. Like he's so like enthralled and captured with her and everything about her. So he's trying to show her all these cool things, and she's just destroying everything.
Isn't it neat?
Yeah.
And she doesn't really become interested in him at all until she she thinks he's cute, but they find the plant.
Right.
And it's funny because at this point, I've never heard Luis make so many of his own noises. He could have been a Ben Burtt because she shuts down virtually. She
Right.
gets the plant, she
She's
shuts down.
supposed to wait for the spaceship to pick her up.
And so Wally is like taking her on dates and
Oh my God.
He
Takes her on the
ties her
Riviera.
to a string. Yeah, the umbrellas.
Luis, do you want to share what you had to say?
He can't remember.
It has something to do along the lines of if they're judging Sebastian for the kiss the girl, she won't say a word. It's like, how is Wally getting away with all of this?
Wally's taking her on all of these dates. He ain't got no consent to hold
Right,
her hand.
yeah, he was trying to hold her
Wally's
hand.
So, I know he's trying to hold her hand, and the thing snaps
Literally
closed on him.
snapping it back.
It was just too funny.
He
that was
takes her
hilarious.
on a shopping cart through the sludge. He's like rowing
He's
her.
rowing down
Whee!
the.
He's humming like the whole time. He's like, what a nice day. Poor Wally.
I won't
He's
lie.
been
I
alone
was
for like 700 years.
I was
so.
laughing very hard during those parts.
Yeah.
Or I think it was before she went whatever you call it,
Asleep.
dormant.
Catatonic.
That he was trying to why can't I use words now? He was trying to impress her, and he like knocked over a whole thing of shopping carts, and all the shopping carts like
Oh my
attack him at the
God,
other
that's
side
like
of the
my
store.
favorite shot in the
yeah.
whole movie.
Oh my
Because he
God.
hits the shopping carts, he runs away, and then it zooms in on all the shopping carts, like smashing into him in the doors. It's so funny.
like all the shopping carts left on Earth just hit him.
Meanwhile, Eve can like shoot one ship, and they all fall into each other and
Yeah.
explode. Like she's like very powerful.
It's just too good. It's very funny.
I just also like how like all these little knickknacks that he finds like so amazing, and he gives them to her, and she like figures them all out immediately.
Oh yes,
Here's
Rubik's
a light
Cube,
bulb,
done.
light it up. Rubik's cube, done.
The
And he's
Rubik's
like,
Cube is so funny because he gives it to her. It shows him going to get something else, and then he comes back, and she has solved the Rubik's Cube entirely.
And she's holding it in the exact same position, like it didn't even
move.
and he's looking at her like, what's going on?
Oh my
Or
gosh.
when he's trying to dance, he has the little trash can top, and she's just like,
Lid is
thonk,
the hat.
thonk,
Oh my
thonk,
goodness,
thonk.
yeah, she's a little heavy-handed.
She's a little hot mess there.
She throws him against the wall, and the whole wall like expands.
Oh yeah.
Oh God.
And he's just like, wow.
That's
Yeah.
my kind of woman. That's what he's thinking.
I know. So it's sad, I guess. Eve's asleep, but the rocket comes to pick her up, and he gets on the rocket, tells his cockroach buddy to stay.
Bye, bro.
Which is funny because the cockroach is still there later. It's so funny.
Standing in the same damn
spot like a dog. It's hilarious.
So this is actually really funny because in my notes I wrote, once they go to space, right? Like, because that's how you initially felt.
Mm-hmm.
And it's funny because one of our listeners, when we posted about this, he wrote kind of like the opposite of how I felt, which I thought was really
really?
interesting. So Kermit Kid 7 said, my feelings on this are ... mixed. I think the first 45 minutes on Earth are boring, but the stuff in space is cool. It's just not a movie I come back to. So it was funny because
I'm the opposite.
yeah, I'm the opposite because I thought that the space stuff was like it was killing me. Literally. I was like getting clogged arteries just like watching it.
There are parts that I really, really like, but then there's also parts where it's just weird.
Right.
Like, I'm just like, why? Like, the whole, like, what do you call it? The wheel that's like the ship captain thingy. Auto. Like, I didn't need that, you know? Like, that was whatever to me.
Oh, well, it had to show that. Well, that's where your non-sci-fi side is showing.
Yes.
Because I will tell you that, okay.
Yeah, Andre
Let's
said
get
it's,
there. Let's get there.
From
'Cause
some other movie.
Some other movie.
iRobot, maybe?
Well, yeah.
No.
Otto is a huge nod to Hal from 2000: A Space Odyssey, where the ship takes control and doesn't let the humans do what they want to do, and he's like, "Hey, open the pod bay doors, Hal." I can't do that. I'm a robot. You guys suck.
Pretty much.
Well, so, and then they play that song too, where the ship captain's like fighting Otto, and Altra's like, "It's from the movie."
Yeah. So it's really funny because there's multiple things going on. Okay, so pretty much they end up in space because Eve's directive was to find the planet. She goes back. She's taking the planet.
Captain.
So she brings it to the captain, but
Takes
I will
a while
say,
to get there. They go through a lot of robots.
yes, that was hilarious. All of the
robots?
little nods to like other types of technology and robots that it took them to get to the captain, I actually thought was quite funny.
Yes.
Yeah.
I was laughing quite a bit.
Mo.
But then they get to like an upper deck where they're trying to meet the captain, and that's where like the humans pop in, and I was like, oh God, stop it, right?
So basically, we get a snippet of what this ship is supposed to be like, and it looks great, right? Like there's all these activities
The
you
Axiom.
can do.
The Axiom.
Everything's included. And then it said in just one line in that video, and then there's even these recliners. So even grandma can get around. And I'm thinking in my head, like, those things were only supposed to be for the grandmas, but everyone is in one. You know what I mean?
grandpas.
And they're all like, it freaks me out a little bit. Not because they're big and all in chairs. I can look past that now because I've seen the movie so many times. What gets me is that they're only looking at the screens.
No,
even when they're right next to each other.
Well, and that's my
what
problem
freaks me
too.
out.
So, okay, so
The fat stuff I can get past. I've seen it enough.
right. So it doesn't bother me that they're overweight. I mean, heck, you put me on a BMI chart, I'm overweight.
Just the bones freaks you out.
Well, the idea that they are, it's more the idea that they don't move, that they're stagnant.
do
That's what freaks me
It
out.
goes back to the whole 7 deadly sins. And
Yeah.
Is it sloth or gluttony?
There's
It's
both.
a combination of both, actually.
Well, and it's just that it's overdone. Everything, like, they're eating is in a cup, and they don't get out of the chair. Like, one of them
Drink
falls.
your lunch.
Yeah, one of them gets out of the, or gets dropped out of the chair, and he can't get up. Like, that is.
At all.
Oh, that is so frightening.
But it's also like
it's
not their
fascinating
fault.
to
It's
me.
like the by and large company. Well, it's also their fault because it's their choice. But you know, it's weird. For
Well,
sure.
that's mass. That's mass. I can't think of the word right now, but societally, you know, they're buying into to what's being fed to them,
Yeah.
literally.
I mean, I
Literally.
just ate a ton of Nutter Butter.
So
Yeah, girl, but you ain't in a chair that's gonna take you home, so you gotta walk your butt over to the car.
I still got bones.
It's hilarious and fascinating to me, right? Okay, so this cruise ship is supposed to be running for 5 years.
Yes.
So all the people on Earth are escaping onto this cruise ship.
Yes.
So they're there. They just got there. They're hanging out. They're enjoying the luxuries. They're worried about their home planet, and they're probably walking around and doing all the stuff. And then just slowly over time, after that 5 years has passed, they are just slowly
Getting
evolving,
bigger and bigger.
devolving into these humans that can't do anything for themselves because everything is being done for them.
Exactly.
They're not doing anything that can forward their lives. They're not living life. They're just surviving on this ship
But
that is
when I
surviving
think
for
about it
them.
at this point, I'm going to say that this is 700 years later.
Right.
So if that's all they were taught and that's all they know, and it keeps evolving more and more and more into this is just what they know.
Right.
Because I mean, you see the captain's face when he's like, "What's grass?"
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
They don't know. They don't know anything because that's
Define
what
dancing.
they have to
Hold down.
Hold down. That's like what's in their brain. So I only have
But like you
There's-
said, the fact that they can't see beyond the screen, like at
That
one
freaks me
point
out.
the screen gets moved from, it was her name Mary.
Yeah. I think
Like the screen got moved because
Wally
Wally was
turned
trying to
it
get
off.
by, and she's like, "Oh my gosh, you can see
Right,
outside.
look at all these stars.
We have a pool." Like
Yeah.
the fact that they're sitting at a pool, but she has no idea
she's even
that
there.
it's even there.
that she's there or that it's there is very sad but it's also very telling too. Like how often does that happen to us because we're behind screens?
Sure.
You know, how much life do we miss? But it's just really interesting.
Yeah.
I think it's like you said.
We
It's,
don't miss
it's
as
cool.
much as them, so we're good.
No,
Yes.
I still see the sky.
my one qualm that I have, and this is just me looking too far into not the Disney cartoon nice movie side, it's me looking into like the reality of this actual situation if it was real, is that like there's a moment where the captain's like talking to the screens and the thing's responding unchanged or whatever, and he says population unchanged, but they were teaching little tiny babies in chairs.
But I think the puppet.
I don't understand.
I think
Like
it means
from
unchanged from
yesterday.
like last night. Yeah.
Oh, I thought they meant in general.
No,
No.
I think it was
I was
day
like,
to
but
day.
there's little tiny babies in chairs.
Yeah.
I
No,
don't
they.
get it.
Well, you got to think about it.
Thought
10
maybe they were
10
like in
people
hyperspace
dying,
or something.
10 kids are born.
Right.
Population hasn't changed.
Yeah, exactly.
That's true.
I think the ship is keeping the population at
The
a
same.
at a standard. you
Yeah.
know? It's going. It's. I don't think these people are necessarily interacting with each other. You know, it's like
they're
artificially
not.
inseminating all the humans and creating.
That's what
more
I would say
babies
because I don't
and-
know how that's happening.
And as
They're
the
like
people
fish
just
now.
fall, I wonder what their
they're like fish.
lifespan is. You know, like I wonder
I
how
don't
much
know.
the chairs in the ship is keeping them alive after a certain age. And
See,
stuff
that's
like
me
that.
looking too far into it.
But
you
see,
know what I
that's
mean?
what makes it interesting to
Yeah.
me because that's like where my little sci-fi brain pops in, and I'm like, ooh. Because at one point I looked at Luis and I'm like, this would be a super sick Doctor Who like
Right, yes.
episode or like
Mhm.
3-part
This is a
series
good
or
Black
something.
Mirror episode.
Yes, because there's so much. There's
You
so
could
much you
go
could
off
deep
of,
in.
yeah.
You could dive into this. It's a dark hole.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I have unanswered questions, and that's why also I feel like this movie definitely appeals to adults more. Like, I don't really think that this is that much of a kids movie.
Well, I think
like it is, but a kid's kind of gonna get bored of robots not really talking to each other and just flying. And then maybe the end, or they might think's a little bit more interesting. But I just feel like it's geared towards more like my type of entertainment than like a child.
yeah, maybe, but I think that you a fun robot adventure is what's happening here, and it seems.
A serious fun robot.
I mean,
adventure.
it's serious, but you know, while he's flying around in space and he's getting cleaned up after by Mo and stuff like that, and he's almost
Mo.
getting crushed by the Wall-A's, and I think there's
Yeah.
enough stuff there for a kid to
kids.
latch onto. But I don't know. I never saw this as a kid, so
Dude, I'm gonna need everyone to pause because he goes to like robot mental institution.
Oh my god.
Yes.
And I
Oh,
thought I was
man.
gonna
Oh,
lose
the
my
repair
mind.
shop.
My favorite one is the one
Hilarious.
that's just punching everybody, and they like saran wrap his arms down.
The
on
makeup one is hilarious.
It. You look great, doll.
You're beautiful.
You look better.
I like the umbrella that's just popping open and closing and opening and closing.
Oh my god, I was
All of
done.
those little robots worship Wally. They even play the little song.
Yeah,
they
he
do.
rescued them all.
Ding, ding, ding.
Because he saves them.
Yeah.
I mean, kind of unknowingly or unwanting to,
Right.
but
That's a really good scene where they take Eve in there and they're like taking her apart to see if she's functioning and she's enjoying it, right? The machine's like
It's like massaging her.
And Wally's like, whoa!
Because Wally can only see her through like a stained glass door, so she's like, it looks like her head is being chopped off, and he's like,
good stuff.
very funny.
Actually, quite hilarious.
Oh, another thing, I like when Eve giggles and her eyes, you guys can't see me. She like almost closes her eyes, like they almost become lines.
Yeah.
When she
Yeah.
giggles, she's like,
she like squints a little.
yeah.
Like
She's
Andre.
Yeah, me on a boat.
I heard about your debacle.
Yeah, I had a. Me and Grandma had to, you know, had to retake some pictures.
Gotta keep your eyes open.
My eyes weren't open. Anyway,
So off topic.
It's funny though.
It is funny.
Oh my gosh.
So it's interesting because Eve finally gets to the captain. She wakes up, right? And she's like, Wally, what are you doing here? Whatever. But they give the plant to the captain.
Or they attempt to give
They
the
attempt
plant
to
the
give it.
count.
So this video plays and it's like just so congratulations. Almost like you like won a laptop or
Yeah.
something. Like an ad pops up on your computer. Congratulations. you found a plant, you can go back to Earth or whatever.
Yeah.
And the captain immediately freaks out. He's like, what? Earth? We're going to go there?
Which props to the captain for being like excited.
Yeah,
and
he's like
interested.
doing his job at the very least.
Yeah, but he's also very excited when the manual pops out and tells him everything to do.
Well, yeah.
Manuel,
Oh yeah, he's
relay your
illiterate,
instructions, Manuel.
But it's funny because they didn't have the plant that first time, and so that was part of the problem, was that it was like stolen, pretty much.
Yeah.
E-directive of
Otto.
So there comes Luis's and my first question is, how many times do you think this has happened? Do you think this is the first time that actual life was found on Earth, or do you think that they've done this multiple times?
No, you know what? You're right. It probably has happened quite a few times.
I feel like it's probably happened only because in the pictures where he's looking at like the other captains, and like first you only notice that the captains are getting larger and larger, but then you start noticing that the
Otto's
getting closer and closer and closer, just because I think he's getting more intelligent and he's like liking being.
Yes.
He's not evil. It's his directive. It's what he was told to
It's
do.
his directive to
But I
keep
think
that ship away from Earth, basically.
Yeah, like he just kind of likes the power all of a sudden. So I don't think
Which is
it's
cool
the
too.
first time it's happened.
Because Luis was like, that was way too seamless on the part of the robots for that to have been the first time that happened.
Right.
He was like, oh, no, they had that planned. I
Like-
was like, oh.
Yeah, I think maybe it happened once per captain. Like I don't think it was more than that.
Yeah.
But I think it's happened more than once.
Right.
Yeah. Like Earth's soil has been at least a little bit fertile for.
Well, and it's funny because they found the plant inside a refrigerator.
Yeah, that's
Which
true.
I'm like, oh, it's probably nice and cool in there. And like,
Well, maybe not so much cool, but it's in a weather protected place where
Right.
that weird dust storm isn't going to destroy it every
Sweep
time
it
it comes
away.
through. Yeah.
Yeah. So I bet Otto's kind of good at this. It knew to take its security guard to take the plant to the ejector pod and get it out of here and set it to self-destruct immediately and get it gone. And the only thing that stopped it this time is that there was a stowaway on the ship named Wally, who is
and it was also
messing up
it
his
was
a
also
trash
sad
robot.
that Eve
Yeah.
was like so ready to give Wally away so quickly. She's just like putting him in a pod, and it's like, Earth, get out of here, go, because I guess really she still really only cares about her directive because she's
Yeah, she's got a job to do, just like Polly has a job to do. But
Wally abandoned his job. Don't lie.
That's true.
He was
Well,
like,
he got
Wally's
a
been doing
little
that for hundreds of years. He doesn't really care anymore.
He got a little
He wants
obsessed.
to not be alone.
with Eve. And it's funny that when Eve saw the footage of what Wally did after she
That's
shut
when
down,
she was
that's when
like,
she was like,
"Oh."
"Oh, this dude likes me. I also like this dude."
But I thought that was so cute.
Maybe.
That was so... No, she liked him after that. She was like, oh, Wally.
Yeah, it was.
this is the only robot that's going to take me serious. Know
Right.
my power.
Yeah, that was cute. Yeah, the robot love story in this is pretty good.
You know what I think it's time for?
Oh.
Dun 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 dun
What?
dun 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 robo battle.
Oh my gosh, we have a battle.
Do we have one?
We have a robo battle.
All right, ladies and gents, for this week's battle, in which machine-controlled universe would you rather live in? The one that we have just saw in Axiom with Wall-E, or living in the Matrix from the Matrix movies? Ready? Go.
Wait,
Okay.
Living in the Matrix.
So
I haven't seen Matrix.
So in the Matrix,
Explain.
every human is living in a virtual world where you're living your normal life, going to work, doing all that jazz.
You doing you right now?
You're
You're
in the Matrix. But in actuality, your body is in
It's like Inception.
your body is
No.
in a pod being drained of its energy to create batteries for the robots who have taken over the earth.
So what happens when my body gets drained? I die.
Well,
You
in
die.
reality, in terms of the Matrix, The moment you're born, they start doing that, and they house you up until the point that you die, maybe 99. So they probably get 99 years worth of life from you, and then you die.
Are they
So
draining my blood?
no, you're the quote unquote
My life
energy.
force?
Yeah, like your life force. Sure.
I think they mentioned it to their body
Are
produces
people
electricity.
happy
Yeah.
in the Matrix?
Yeah, it's like you're living your
it's-
normal
Are
life.
you happy right now, living
Yeah.
your life?
It's like this.
Yeah.
This
You're
real
like
life.
this.
Yeah.
You don't know that you're in a pod.
You don't know you're in the Matrix.
It's like a green overlay, but
Can I still go to heaven?
In your brain.
Yes, yeah.
Because I don't know how that works in that.
I can't if an alien drains me of my life force.
So the
an
point
alien robot.
the point is that in the Matrix,
Still go to heaven?
what you
Well,
think
that's a
what you
question.
think is real isn't actually real. It's fake. It's manufactured. You're not living in the real world. You're living in a fake version of
Ignorance
2018.
is bliss, man.
Ignorance
Truth.
is bliss. There you go.
Okay.
And you could theoretically be woken up
So
and
it's that
get cool
or
Matrix powers.
will be one of the beings on Axiom
Mm-hmm.
Yes, or you get to be
And
an
get
Axiom
your life controlled by pretty much machines.
by a ship.
and
But
by
here's
a
the-
company.
You get
Here's-
three square meals. There's a pool.
3.
Yeah, but you're just looking
liquid
at a
meals,
screen. You're not
excuse
even
you.
doing anything.
Well, here's the deal. This is a weird question because the people on the Axiom think they're happy. The
Right.
people in the Matrix think they're happy because they're conditioned to on both sides. They're not. They're kind of both allowed to go about their business,
Yeah,
doing what they think they're allowed to do.
what they think they want to do.
Do they have more choices in the Matrix, or are they dictating my life for me, or am I just making it up in my brain?
It seems like they have choices in the Matrix, and they kind of do have choices in the Matrix.
Yeah.
Because these people, honestly, on the Axiom don't. I mean, they have choices, but they don't. You know what I mean?
Right. It takes, in both universes, it takes an outside force for
Yeah.
you to really live your true life. Like, you need.
But I'll be honest, the true life in both of them is actually way
It's
worse.
pretty bleak. Yeah.
It's really awful. Because imagine what it would be like to be that Mary character, right, in Wall-E, and then like getting out of your big old chair and then looking at everyone else and being like,
yeah.
"Oh my God, this is what's going on."
Realizing your legs don't work that well, and
Only if you find
You don't
out.
know how to. You don't know how to swim.
mhm.
And there's a pool. There's a running
You've been
track.
drinking
You can't-
hamburgers out of a cup for 35 years.
Do they wake up in the Matrix and kill the robots?
Yeah, you can be woken up in the Matrix.
But technically, no. Normal
Right.
people would not be.
Correct.
You would not.
It takes an outside
I'm
force.
gonna go with the Matrix.
No, okay. Well,
Me too. I would go with the Matrix simply because you're pretty much living a normal life, and yes, they're sucking the energy source out of you for electricity, but you would know. You would not know
You would
because
not.
you would
know
live.
not.
You would live your whole life as from a baby all the way up until an old
there's
man.
more
so,
chance of
well,
me getting
I would choose the
woken
Matrix
up on
as
the
well.
Axiom and being like crap. You know what I mean? I think there's less of a chance of me getting woken up in the Matrix and then being like crap. Which, if I'm already in ignorance is bliss mode and most likely going to be there for the rest of my life, that I'd rather just stay there. So that's why I'm choosing the Matrix.
it's pretty good. Pretty good reasoning.
So here's my question about. I haven't seen The Matrix in many years, but I will tell you that when I did watch it, I insisted on watching all three because I liked them that much.
Yes.
I just don't remember them because that's the story of my life. When you got the red pill or the blue pill, this is pretty much like you find out or you don't find out, right? That's like the question.
Yeah.
Oh.
If you took like the other pill, like was that whole interaction like erased from your memory?
Yes, the blue pill, you take it, that whole interaction gets like deleted from your brain. You go back
And
to
you
work
just
the
go
next
back to
day,
being
and
you.
You go back to being you.
Okay, yeah.
Living your
I'm Matrix then.
boring yet, happy life.
Yeah,
I
because-
guess.
Yeah, like I said, ignorance is bliss, man. It really
Sometimes.
is. Well, sometimes, but in this particular
that particular situation, I'd rather know.
situation, it is.
Yeah, I'm
you
trying
know?
to think of like the upsides of like being ignorance is bliss on the Axiom.
It's not much.
Don't have to do a lot of walking. Don't have to like go to work, I guess.
We
But
don't know,
I mean,
we don't know how long they're living.
right. I mean, conceivably,
10 years.
yeah.
Just kidding.
I mean,
Probably like
long
30.
enough for them to have a baby and then
Move along.
make room for another
I
chair or whatever.
Didn't see really any elderly people on the Axiom.
No, they
That's
were
true.
all,
They were all
young, middle-aged.
middle-aged. Yeah. Yeah, and if you get woken up on the Axiom, then you're in that unusable body and trapped in space, for the most part, until a young robot comes and saves the day.
A trash planet.
Yeah, and takes you back to Trash Planet, where you have to rebuild the entire planet
Seems like a lot more
from
work.
scratch. Now, when you get woken up in the Matrix, you're also living on Trash Planet, ruled by robots, killer robots, and
they're trying to kill you.
Yeah, and you have to fight them by going back into the Matrix and using technology to fight them and stuff like that. But that's a cooler existence. You get to wear cool
that's
black
more
trench coats
action-packed.
and wear sunglasses and
Matrix.
So
shoot
what are you
guns.
going with?
So I definitely choose the Matrix. The Matrix is my favorite movie of all time.
Is it really your favorite
Aw.
movie of all time?
It's my favorite movie. Yeah.
But you say that about Star Wars and Spider-Man and Batman.
I got a lot of favorites. Don't
You said of all time 3 seconds ago.
I think when asked, I think I put the Matrix at the top.
It has Lawrence Fishburne doing Lawrence Fishburne
Yeah.
things.
Well, maybe I'll watch it.
You need to watch it. I downloaded all three of them.
Matrix battle.
I was gonna say trash battle, but I mean that works
Ignorance
too.
battle.
Ignorance battle.
So that was the battle for
Luis,
this
you
week.
chose the Matrix?
Good.
He said yes.
Good
Okay.
battle.
We got a sweep.
Good stuff. Yeah, a Matrix sweep. A leg sweep.
A good leg sweep for the people on the Axiom,
Yes.
so they can fall out of their chair and into their less blissful existence.
Luis,
What do
did you, or any of you guys,
Mhm.
did you get really sad when Wally got crushed?
When
When-
did Wally get crushed?
So when Wally is
Got crushed
holding
when
up
they were
the
trying to put the plant in the thing.
yes.
oh,
Trying to put the plant in the plant receiver, and and Wally has to try to hold it up to keep it from closing, because Otto is trying to close it, and Wally is getting crushed by the plant receiver, and he becomes like really broken until
they have to take him back to Earth.
they have to
so
take
can
him all the way
recharge.
back to Earth. They can
That's
jump to
why
light
Wally's
speed.
like Earth. It makes him seem like like he's choosing Eve over his life, and he's really just like, "Come on, girl, take me back, fix me up."
Help me!
It's funny because in some ways, especially because we've been watching so many movies that have happy endings,
Mhm.
Disney is, I mean,
Yeah.
we're going to have a happy ending, that it's hard for me not to just be ready for the happy ending. Like, you see him get all like crushed and everything, and I feel like the tug of like, no, but then in my head I'm like, okay, they're taking him back to Earth and he's gonna get fixed up.
Right.
Yeah,
You know what I
but
mean?
I think for me, like I do that even when I'm rereading a Harry Potter book, I'm still gonna cry when Dobby dies. Like that's just me because
spoiler.
I what's not a spoiler? Oh my god, how long has that been out?
75
Like,
years later.
I think I'm very very good at like
Who cries when
suspending-
Dobby dies?
This
Me?
one.
I didn't cry when Dumbledore died.
That's your own
Dude,
dang
spoiler.
problem.
Dang.
When Sirius dies,
Sirius.
that's a whole
Guys,
Yeah.
spoilers.
But I'm very very good at suspending like all reality when I'm
Yeah.
watching something or reading something
Yeah.
or just anything because I'm an emotional person. But I'm just like very very good at being like, fling.
Yeah.
Like the rest of the world is not there. When I'm watching in a movie, I literally feel like I'm in that movie. Like I am Moana. I'm singing that song, man.
Jesus Christ.
So I'm gonna cry every time. It just
The
is what it
sky
is.
met the sea and it called Michelle.
And what do you
Yeah.
think Andre was singing on the whole cruise? That and this song, I'm on a boat.
Yeah, I sang that a lot too.
He was lonely islanding the entire time.
But yeah,
We're gonna
it-
be in Spain.
It was sad when Wally got crushed at the end of this because they crushed him in such a way that unless they took him to Earth, which they did,
Right.
but unless they did that, it didn't seem like they were going to be able to fix him. Like he is such an old robot that none of the stuff that they had on the Axiom would have been able to repair him. Like even if they took parts from like the Wally Class A's, like those things are gigantic, and his like main computer chip was busted.
True.
So it's not like they could even put his brain into a different body or anything like that.
I think it was even sadder though when they get to Earth and Eve runs Wally over there, fixes him up, and he wakes up and he doesn't like remember her and he just starts like shoveling trash.
Right.
And she's very, very sad.
Just
but then
erase
she was also
700
kind of
years
just like,
personality.
oh, and was like gonna walk away type of thing. Like, well, that's it.
Yeah.
Until he did his little eye twitch thing, and I wanted to be like, you know what, Eve, Wally dragged you around
For days.
Days he dragged you around. You better start dragging him. you better start dragging him.
You get those Christmas lights. You wrap him up.
You
Take him on a sludge.
flow him down the Riviera of sludge.
Yeah.
Yeah, she gave up on him pretty quickly, but she's ready to move on. She's
She's an independent woman.
She's got a planet to rebuild. Prime directive. But yeah,
So
he
silly.
came back to life one day.
But it's a good ending. It's cute. And you get to see that they start growing the planet. And
Yeah, and then the end credits kind of show how they rebuild the entire planet.
And then
from
it's also
scratch.
cute because at the
Pizza
very
plants.
did you watch all the way to the end
I
of the credits?
did. I
Okay,
did.
so it's so cute when Wally does with the Pixar lamp.
So the Pixar lamp comes on the screen like we remember back, because they don't do that anymore, right? At the beginning of Pixar movies.
I think they
Not
still.
in that style anymore. No.
So
They
the old
still do the lamp, but it just kind of flashes. It doesn't do the bouncy thingies.
right. So in the old Pixar opening, you would hear that wah, 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 and the lamp would jump across the screen to get into the eye position.
Mhm.
And then the light would turn on and turn towards the audience. So this time, the light bulb was out,
Yeah, the light bulb went out.
and
So Wally
Wally
fixed it.
rolls onto screen, puts a new light bulb in, and in doing so, knocks over the R in Pixar, and then he like rolls back over there and becomes the R. Like he sticks out his little like foot,
So cute.
and he becomes the R.
Yeah.
It's
I
very
think
cute.
that's
That
so
was good.
cute. But then it gets scary because after that, it flashes to the screen that says BNL on it. It says BNL. So did BNL make this whole movie, and this whole movie was a lie?
Propaganda from BNL.
Well, and that's a whole nother kind of societal talk, like, because that's the real
You can
consumer.
get this DVD
Because
from
I
BNL
always,
stores
I
for
always watch it till the
$19.99.
end of the credits, but then it kind of freaks me out, and I'm like, oh, Wally's so cute, and then it goes BNL, and the little screen comes up, and I'm like, wait a second, what? What? You just threw that at me? It's a curveball.
Yeah, they're destroying the planet.
Capitalism.
It's a curveball.
It's because you're
Exactly.
living in the Matrix, Michelle.
Yeah, dude.
Apparently, by and large, things
Deja
by
vu.
and large.
Oh, we watching the Matrix.
Hey, if I'm in the Matrix, I'm pretty dang happy. I got my hubby. It's all good. All good. It's all good.
It's all good.
It's all good, she says. So yeah, this movie was all good.
Give us some money.
Oh yes,
money.
let's get some money facts.
moolah.
This movie had a budget of $180 million, which
Dang.
is
Is
pretty
that a lot?
pretty expensive. Yeah. It had a box office return for domestic of $223 million. So
I
it
made
made us
43
money back.
million, so.
And then worldwide, it made $533 million.
Okay, so I made a lot.
So half a bill is nothing to slouch at. Wally made a lot of money. And then, as I said in the beginning, it did have 6 Oscar nominations and 1 win. So
That's
it
a
did
lot of
did
nominations.
pretty well for itself. Yes, I believe the only other Pixar movie with that many nominations was Beauty and the Beast. Oh no, the only other Disney movie with that many nominations is Beauty and the Beast.
Well, you know what? Wall-E is still my favorite Pixar movie. I love a lot of the others. So you go, Wall-E.
Yeah.
What's its Rotten Tomato?
On Rotten Tomatoes. Oh, I thought I pulled that up. I guess I did not. I'm going to vamp for a little bit. On Rotten Tomatoes, Wall-E has a Rotten Tomato meter score of...
Jesus. Get to it.
Oh.
The 2008 Pixar animated
I hate you
film
so much.
has a
With Ben
Rotten
Burt.
Tomato score featuring Ben Burt of 96%.
Nice.
Pretty good.
I think
I
Addie
agree.
X'd out of this tab when she was at the computer.
96 critic, 89% audience.
Yes. So very well received, this movie. Jolly good stuff. Is there anything else that I normally say at the end of these? No, I don't think so.
No, but
Oh, I
I'll
know.
tell you about some facts
Ooh,
if you want to know
hit
some
us
facts.
with some facts.
Easter eggs?
Yeah. So we already talked about how Wall-E is a tip of the hat to Walter Elias Disney, which I thought was pretty cool. And we talked about how each time you see a captain's photo, Otto becomes closer and closer and closer in the background.
Yes.
To show like the ultimate takeover. Oh God, we already talked about so many of these. How crazy. Okay. In preparation for animating Wall-E, the film story crew and animation crew would watch a Buster Keaton film and a Charlie Chaplin film almost every day for a year to be able to convey emotion silently and effectively.
Oh.
Which I think is really cool
Yeah, that's
because
very interesting.
they did such a good job being able to show those emotions on screen without like regular human dialogue.
Right.
One of the Easter eggs that we found is that the bug zapper from A Bug's Life that the mosquitoes go towards when they're outside of the trailer is actually in the background of his trailer. His
like a little
house.
Yes, his
his
apartment.
house. So it's in the background when you see Eve talking to
the bug zapper is
to
there.
Wall-E.
That's cool. I did see the Pizza Planet truck.
Yes.
He was
Scanning it.
Yeah. I think Eve was scanning it.
And you see, that one is pretty noticeable. And one of the last ones, because I couldn't find that many, this one's actually in Cars. Lightning McQueen pulls in for a pit stop at the Motor Speedway, and you actually see Wall-E zooming by in the background. He like drives by on the actual in the pit stop lane.
Yeah.
So that was pretty cute.
Amazing.
But this one did a really good job bringing in the by and large. Obviously, it was really, really prominent here.
Right.
But we've seen other movies that have by and large in them. A lot of the Toy Story movies have references to by and large. There's either like a store in the background as they drive by.
Just hasn't taken over yet.
Right.
Yes.
Exactly. Or the the batteries in the back of like Buzz Lightyear or whatever, they are by and large batteries.
Yeah.
So it's the same. It's
like Walmart
product. Exactly.
or Amazon or whatever.
Yeah.
So I thought that was pretty cool.
So it's just a matter of time until we're on that Axiom ship.
I told Andre, I was like,
Live
well,
in the Matrix life.
I was like, maybe Disney will take over. I don't know.
Yeah.
Well, Disney's on its way of taking over. It was almost like it was premeditated.
By enlarging out everything.
Yes.
They're doing it. Do you, Diz?
Well, I like this movie. You ready to rate it?
I am ready to rate movie.
Alrighty then.
Okay.
I'm going to give this movie an 8.5. I think it was really good, very well crafted. Music's great. I love the fact that there's no dialogue for a large portion of it. And I even like the fact that they use like live action actors in
Oh
a
my
large
God,
portion of it. Like
yes.
they have like the president talking, and then there's like the Hello Dolly stuff going on in the background. That's kind of cool.
It's like they devolved into like animated characters.
Yes.
We used to be human.
Right, yeah. We used to be live action, and now we're just 3D animated. Yeah, so all of it's good. The only reason it's not higher rated, I think, is just because there's other stuff I would rather watch more often. You know, like this isn't a return to watch this movie over and over again necessarily kind of film. But it's still very strong, very good. 8.5.
I am going to give it an 8. It was a good, solid movie. I just couldn't get over the whole sloth and gluttony part.
Poor was freaking him out.
It has nothing to do with necessarily the size of the people. To me, it's just more of the lifestyle that they were forced to live in. And I understand it's not their fault. It's just still kind of uneasy to imagine. You're just sitting in a chair all day.
Yeah.
You're looking at a computer screen and you're drinking from a straw. That's just unimaginable.
I mean, that sounds like most of my days off, but I see what you mean.
Oh my god! See, Andre's like, I liked that part.
Oh my god! I'm gonna give it I'm gonna say it's an 8 movie wise. The reason it's not higher for me is because the difference between, I think, the quality of animation between the first half and the second half, and or just Earth versus space went from like super realistic, because it looked like real Earth.
Yeah.
Like I felt like I was looking at landscapes, to very cartoony. I mean, I'm not saying it was bad animation, but it's just the difference in like the
it's
way
like a change in tone.
Yes. Once you get on the Axiom, it's very it's just very animated looking.
Yeah.
It's cartoony.
So and because even the robots like Eve and Wally, when they're on Earth, they don't seem cartoony. They seem pretty like you could imagine that being something on Earth. I don't know.
Yeah, it's interesting. Like it's almost shot a little bit more documentary style when they're on Earth, and then when it gets into space, it gets
More like a movie.
more like a movie. Yeah,
Agreed. But I did enjoy it. I enjoyed it much more than I did the first time I watched it, obviously. But will I watch it multiple times? I mean, I'll watch it again, but I don't know if I'll be like,
Even my favorite movies, I usually only watch once a year.
yeah.
It's just like a thing.
Well, yeah. I mean, well, now that we're watching movies all the time, you can't be like rewatching them all.
Though I did
True.
watch, we watched Wall-E probably like 5 months ago.
yeah,
That's why
not too long.
It felt
ago.
like newer. So, as soon as this movie was over, then I remembered why I loved it again so much. I gave Andre 2 thumbs up and was like 10 out of 10. Would recommend. But that's not like what I'm gonna give it.
10 out of 10.
The first part of this movie is just so brilliant. Like that portion, I would give a 10. But for the overall movie, I'll give it a 9 because I do really like it. But it's like I can probably stop watching the movie halfway through and be like, cool.
Yeah.
You know, just because I don't necessarily need all of that space and other stuff. I like the lovey-dovey Wall-E Eve stuff at the beginning and the Earth stuff. Like, yeah,
I guess
now that you're saying it's like
go to space.
where you're saying it's like documentary style, and
Yeah.
it kind of is. It's like you're just like observing them in their own world, and that's like really cool.
It's
But-
like National Geographic. For Wally.
It's really interesting.
Yeah,
'cause,
the poster. That poster was on the cover of National Geographic. Didn't you know?
Like we just talked about Olaf's Frozen Adventure on the Crack.
That was Crack.
Check it out on patreon.com/swallball. And and I was complaining about how it was way too long and not a Pixar short. But this movie, especially the very beginning portion of it, it feels like an elongated Pixar short where
Yes.
you're just watching this little being go around, do its thing, and have
but
fun
it's a
and have little
movie.
quirky
It's
adventures.
different.
But I'm saying, it's that in a very good way, where
Yeah.
Olaf's Frozen Adventure is that in a very
But
bad way.
I will say that
It's
the,
not
the
that,
two
and
Not
it is
bad.
the
bad.
two
Exactly,
different parts of the movie definitely gets that juxtaposition of different ways of life, and this is a deserted planet, and that is a spaceship where creepy stuff's going on. So you know, it is what it is. I still love it though.
Yeah.
Like, would I watch this movie again? And probably will. Yes. I'm still
Yes.
really sad because I have a black shirt that has Eve on it, but I can't just find like a black shirt with Wally on it anywhere. So listeners, if you can find me a Wally shirt, I'll be real happy.
She wants you to send her the link so she can buy it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or you can send the entire
Oh, that's
shirt.
what I
guess.
meant. I meant just to like find me one, not like to give to me so I know where it is. It's so cute. On top of our fridge, we have the Wally and Eve cups where the mugs, you put them together, it makes a heart in the middle. It's really cute. And then behind it, it has my little mermaid vase with my wedding bouquet flowers next to it, and then the bottle of wine that you gave us the night before. It's really cute.
Oh, I gave you?
Yeah,
Oh.
it's like a little shrine now. It's like it's the wedding shrine.
Her eyes are getting really watery. I think it's time. She's gonna cry.
Tired.
Look, are you tired or are
Oh,
you?
that's tiredness.
Okay, because I'm a little worried for you. Your,
Oh,
your
you thought
whole
I was gonna cry?
yeah, your lower lid is like really red
Oh, that's
right
because
now.
I got my lashes done yesterday.
Anywho,
Yeah, careful of that lower lid. You guys, that's been it for this week's episode of the Walt Vault.
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year to you all. There's more episodes to come next
Let
time.
us know what you want to hear from us this year.
Yes. Let us know what you want from the Walt Vault this year. Hit us up on all the social medias. Next time, we are going to be talking about.
taking it back.
We're taking it way back to a year that
Yeah, I
I'm
don't
not
even
even
know if I-
quite sure about.
Have you seen this movie?
I don't remember ever seeing it, but I asked my dad, and he said that I watched it as a kid, and so did my sister. My older sister, but I don't remember it at all.
I'm sure you did.
I watched it a couple months after Luis and I first got married.
Yeah?
And I remember being like, oh, yeah, this is a good movie.
I'm excited then.
We-
It'll feel nice and new and fresh to me.
Mm-hmm.
We are going to be talking about the 1973 animated Disney film Robin Hood.
Robin Hood.
He's a fox. He's got a bow and arrow. He steals from the rich. He gives to the poor. He's got a bear friend. It's going to be fun stuff.
He's got a bear friend. He loves a maid Marianne.
Yes. So check us out in 2 weeks' time for some Robin Hood goodness. In the meantime, you can follow us on social media. We are at the Walt Vault Pod on Instagram. We're also on Twitter and Facebook. You can send us messages on any of those platforms. Hit us right in the DMs. That's where we like to be hit. You can also send an email to contact@thewaltvaultpod.com. And if you send an email there, I will read your message on the show. I will definitely do this for sure because I don't receive emails there very often, and you know that I like them. If you want to help out the Walt Vault, you can do so by rating, subscribing, liking, leaving a review, doing all of those good things. We are on all of the podcast platforms. We're on Stitcher, Google Play, iTunes, YouTube. We're everywhere. Leave a comment down below if you're on YouTube right now, and tell us what you thought of Wall-E. If you want more content from us, you can go to patreon.com/thewaltvault. There we host an after show called A Crack in the Vault, where we talk a little bit more about each Disney movie. You can sign up for as little as $1 or more. It's very cheap. You will not notice it from your bank account. I assure you, I don't, because I pay ourselves. I think that's it. I believe. Yes. So follow us, talk to us, comment for us. We love you all. We will see you next time. That's it for now. The vault is now closed.